This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
So good evening. Welcome to the Bees Committee. It is December 19th, 2024 at 6 p.m. We are here in room B at 50 Payson Avenue. We have 4 of our members present, and I don't see anyone else currently online. So we'll just move into this. The first item on our agenda is public speak. If there's any members of the public here or online who wish to speak to any items pertaining to the city, but preferably with the committees, the nature of the committee and the scope of the committee, please feel free to do so now. We do have someone here again who's potentially interested in membership, and there's a specific agenda item for that. But if you had any other item, anything you want to speak to, otherwise, okay, great. Moving on, we have minutes from our last meeting. I forget what day that was.
It was November 7th.
We have minutes from November 7th. Does anyone have any questions or comments about those? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve those.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Jamie. Do we have a second? Second from Jenny. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Minutes are approved. Moving on. Additional board member candidates. You want to pull up a chair?
I don't know. Should I?
You're welcome.
So we have
promote yourself the big table.
So yeah, I mean, so we've been this is Renee. Do you go by Loftus Hill or Hill?
Hill.
Okay,
Yeah.
Renee Hill, who we've talked outside of here just about our interest in supporting pollinators. We're both in the pollinator steward program currently. She had expressed interest in this committee, and I had encouraged her to attend a meeting. So here we are. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and
Sure.
background around this type of topic?
So I, to a quick synopsis, I started as an insect photographer years ago, and became very interested in researching species, especially species that we have around here. I started Holyoke Community College in January for environmental science, and I do a lot of my research and presentations and things like that on insects and specifically pollinators. I am very interested in my own property and making sure that it's switching over to be as pollinator friendly as possible, and learned about the Pollinator Steward Certification Program. So I've been working on that for the last year, and was very interested in, how I could potentially help Easthampton become more pollinator friendly, especially increasing biodiversity, making sure that we're planting, native species, and what can we do in connectivity and things like that. And was talking to Owen about all things pollinators, and he invited me here to check out the committee. So
Nice.
Yeah.
So I guess, do you have any questions about what we do?
yes, I was reading the write-up on the website sounds amazing. That's, it's amazing to think about what we could do here in Easthampton. So I'm just definitely everything sounds incredible, and I'd love to learn more, and I'd love to, I don't know if everybody is can take a moment to kind of introduce themselves as well and like
Yes,
what
thank you for pointing that out.
that because I would love that to know like everybody's interest, and yeah, I would love to know what the some of the goals are for the committee, and yeah, just super excited about that this is happening here in Easthampton.
Yeah, so when we go around the table, and I think also, as you may have read, the incorporation or the formation of this committee consists of 7 members total, and I can look up exactly what, but we have members from certain other standing committees. We have members of the public. We have a representative of the city council. We'll just go around this way and just introduce ourselves, and indicate like why we're here, who we are, and interest in the,
Right.
So,
So I'm Jamie Puckett. I'm here as the representative from the Energy Advisory Committee, which I chair. And I do have an interest in, I work in renewable energy. I have an interest in all things, sustainability and environment. I don't have a lot of formal background in a lot of it, especially compared to other folks here who are deep into it. So I'm learning a lot as I go, trying to figure out how I can connect our committees a little bit. And I'll talk about a little bit more later about some opportunities that maybe to do that. And excited to also bring a sustainability coordinator onto the staff here in the city, which I think will be able to really tie a lot of things together, especially because we're all volunteers. This committee and the other one that I've been part of. So it'd be good to have somebody on staff to put plans into effect and really guide a lot of these things that we're trying to do.
Yeah, I was a little concerned about that because I was like, oh, I've never been a part of anything in a city or town. I don't yet have my degree in environmental science. So I was kind of like, do I fit? But I do have a lot of passion and a lot of knowledge about insects and pollinators. And that is what I want to be pursuing. And once I do get my bachelor's. So, like, well, I'll check it out. I was concerned I wasn't gonna meet.
Yeah, I don't, my committee that I chair, I'm not the strongest necessarily, but it's really about interest and the expression of desire and just like wanting to get stuff done, right? There's definitely room to do things. There's a vacuum here for a lot of this stuff, right? So can be, you take whatever size, and shape your effort allows it to, essentially. We've definitely seen that with the energy committee, just suffering along for a couple of years of bumbling through, not much is getting done. We have some ideas. We can talk about the same things over and over again. And now over the past couple of years, we've managed to coalesce on a little bit of that, some actual strong initiatives and things that are actually happening.
Yeah,
So,
that's amazing.
Nice
Yeah. And it's incredible to think about doing something to be helping my community. I love Easthampton, and I have my passions colliding, to kind of put them together would be incredible. So thank you.
Jenny?
I'm Jenny Goldleaf. I'm a landscape designer, and I mostly focus on restoration and conservation ecology. So I am coming at this very much from a plant background, and I feel like we've often said we could really use somebody in the room with a little bit more entomology information. That's something that I'm very much at the beginning of learning about. And yes, similarly, I was drawn to joining the committee because I am eager to find some really concrete ways to put a lot of the ideas that people have into action. I think about climate grief and climate anxiety a lot, and finding ways to have really concrete things to do and community to do that with feels really important to me. So I'm pretty interested in gardening and rewilding landscapes and figuring out how to get people involved through outreach and things like that. So it's been a great experience. This is also my first kind of civic participation. So very low bar to that as well.
And it is interesting too, because, when you think of, global crises on a large scale, it's really overwhelming to think, well, I'm one person, what can I do?
Exactly.
But then if you think of ways that you can focus it into your own community, it's like, okay, well, I can do this.
Exactly.
So cool. Thank you.
Hal?
I'm Hal Weeks. I came to the Bees Committee largely because I serve on the Conservation Commission.
Okay.
And that's, the Conservation Commission's mandate is implementing the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act.
Mhm.
And, and then with the formation of this, I indicated a willingness to do this because I have a background in conservation, but none of it is pertinent to what we do because most of my background deals with marine issues and fishes. We don't talk about marine issues and fishes very much in Easthampton. But, so a lot of interest, some, common concepts, but I am very, very low on the learning curve as, so far for myself. I'd say one of the biggest challenges we have, given that we're, 6 or 7 volunteers and without, dedicated resources, is developing a focus and deciding, okay, we're going to, put our efforts here.
Mhm.
And but that also is a conscious decision. We're going to have to let some other things not happen, at least for the time
Mhm.
being, so that we, do that. And that's, I think that's a challenge for us.
I think that's always such a difficult fact of like, I have all these ideas, but I cannot do them all right now. I have to take them one at a time.
Well, and you think of, if you look at the pollinator action plan, there's some really good things laid out there. But, each one of those would take some financial resources.
Yes.
But more than that, it would take more time and people than the half dozen of us,
Yeah. Yeah.
can bring to bear on our own. So we need to figure out how to leverage what we've got to what we hopefully can become.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it's a great starting point.
Yeah.
Gotta start somewhere and yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
So I'm Owen Zaret. I came to this committee by designing it and putting myself on it, essentially. No, so this all started because, I'm very much an amateur, have a very much amateur interest in creating sustainable native plant habitat. I've always kind of been interested in pollinators. Even as a child, I was interested in them, even though I didn't really know I was, but I was always fascinated by monarch butterflies and tent caterpillars growing up. And then I've just always enjoyed gardening and taking in the beauty of nature, and then became just more generally aware of the crucial role of native plants in supporting pollinators, and then how that supports ecosystems. And then just did a lot of reading. Like I have my degrees in biochemistry. I don't have any sort of formal background training in any sort of ecological training or anything like that. And so I started kind of thinking about how could I bring that to the city on a municipal level. And I learned about the Xerxes Society Bee City certification. And kind of in order to do that, the program required the formation of some sort of committee, and then B, as things kind of happen to the city level, I proposed it to the city council, and then you have 8 other people that you're kind of working with, kind of creating that recipe. And so what came out of that was much different than what I imagined, and was kind of formalizing this committee by ordinance, which I actually think now that it happened, I think makes perfect sense. And so we have representatives from Energy Advisory Committee, Conservation Committee, and Agricultural Committee. They're not here, and then 3 members of the public. We have an empty chair for that, and then Sean, who's also not here, who was our chair, but he stepped back. I was vice chair, so I stepped into that role. And then just to your comment too, I mean, I think one of the beauties, volunteers are what makes the city run. There's so many committees, and I think, if you look at any of our committees, it ranges from people with PhDs and years of expertise on a topic, but also just
Just having my radio meeting like 8 times as well. So,
and also just people, with even just a modicum of interest. And I think you'd probably be surprised how much you certainly have to bring to this committee potentially. Yeah. So I mean, I think like it was actually good to hear Jamie describing the Energy Advisory Committee, because we've only been meeting now for less than a year, and I think we're just finding our way. There's so
Yeah.
much to do, not just the B City items, but there's just a lot that's come out of this. And so, yeah, I mean, I think we do have a really wonderful group of people here, and it's exciting to be part of trying to make a difference, especially on this level ecologically.
You could do a lot with passion. Yeah, get passionate people together, want to learn and grow. I feel like that's, I don't know, I feel like that's half the battle right there, is just wanting to make a change and finding the people that feel the same.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah. Does anyone have questions for Renee?
Is there somewhere we can see your photography?
Yeah, because it wasn't like up in like Mount Tom.
Yeah, I've done Mountain Toms a couple times. Jim is amazing. He does amazing, things for the community. I have an Instagram page and a website, and then I just do different shows in the area.
Renee's Photography Adventures, right?
Yep.
Is it-
Yeah.
It is photography about this.
I'm sorry, how would we look up your?
I have a website or an Instagram account.
Okay, so for the website, just
Mhm.
because I can deal with that and not Instagram.
Um,
Yeah,
It's
what do I look up?
it's long. It's Renee's RENEES Photography Adventures.
That's the website's the same as, yeah. So,
I tried to keep them.
Okay, I can
So
look at that.
People would know that it was me. I love it. I just find it fascinating to get to see the species that we have around here and the variety of things that we have around here. So I really kind of took it from just me loving to take photos of insects to when I do events and I get to do like, different art openings and things at some of the exhibits that I do, really turning it into kind of like a community learning experience of look at the things. Most of these things are taken in my yard in Easthampton. And it's things that, most people don't even realize that we have around here. They're thinking I traveled to some Florida or warm climate area. And I'm like, no, this is literally here in our own backyard. So I love that aspect of it. And that was another thing that solidified going to school for me, because I really love that. I don't know where I'm going to land when I get the degree but I do love that outreach part of it too, to really get other people excited about especially pollinators. Pollinators and spiders are my thing. So, yeah.
well, great. So, I mean, you should feel free to stay throughout the meeting. I'm glad that you're here and you're interested. And did you say you submitted an application?
I didn't. Yeah, I figured
Yeah.
I'd come to the meeting. It's been the end of the semester and finals week, so I'm like, I'll go to the meeting and then I'll. My last day is tomorrow at school, so I'll get everything together.
Great, wonderful. Well, thanks for being here. So moving on, I forget who it was that had submitted the information about the Wild Ones program, and I had looked at that a little bit. Did anyone else kind of peruse that wants to speak about it at all?
I think maybe I shared that to the guy who was on Facebook saying Nathaniel, is that his name? I think, yeah. I don't know much anymore about that.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that that Sean mentioned that gentleman, maybe one person who's interested in the sustainability coordinator role may have applied for it.
Oh, okay.
So
All right, that's good to know.
To me that he said that, but
Yep. Yeah, I dug into it very, very superficially. It looked interesting. But I don't, we could probably, did anyone else here read about?
No, I'm afraid that one slipped by me.
Yeah,
yeah, it's just like a local chapter he's starting of that, right? So
Yeah.
something that we could potentially leverage as a relationship to help spread words, get people volunteers for
Right.
for things, that sort of thing. So
Yep.
yeah, it definitely seems like the type of thing maybe we could even specifically reach out and invite to a future meeting or something.
yeah, let me, I'll put that on I'm happy to take that on.
I think Sean.
Or is Sean doing it?
Sorry, he was I know he was in touch with Nathaniel to the
Yeah.
coffee, and I said that I'd be happy to join him for that.
Okay.
But I don't think he has a date yet.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, what is Nathaniel's full name?
Nathaniel Card, C-A-R-D.
And yeah.
And it's Nathaniel A-E-L at the end.
All right. So I'll follow up with, then do you want to follow up with Sean to find out what stage he's in with that and what's
Yes, I have
happening?
tried to
And
do so.
oh, yeah.
I realized I have met Nathaniel before. He just graduated from the Conway School in June, and I'm an alum of the Conway School, and I spoke there earlier this year. And if I'm remembering correctly, I think I met him, and he seems great. But yeah, I think it would be a really interesting opportunity to get connected to something that has a little bit of a larger scope, not only because it would be a local chapter, but it still is larger than Easthampton, and then it is powered by this national organization. And I get the sense that they have a pretty broad mandate or like resources that they could pull from. And it's a membership-based organization, so just kind of a different structure.
Yeah.
I looked into the like what joining would look like, and it's a $25 membership fee.
Oh.
Incidentally.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it could be a really, really interesting way for us to plug into something that's like I'm always interested in things that seem like they might be duplicative a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think there's, some overlap here, but if there's a way for us to kind of get our, I don't know what the correct insect part would be. little
Yeah.
bring Mantis hands
Yeah.
into something so,
Yeah. Okay. Cool. If you want to follow with him, I'm happy to sit in on that coffee or not too, if it works. But also if we could.
CPA upstairs now?
Yeah.
It's not
It's
not you guys.
not here, so I think upstairs is your best bet.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, there was something in this, in the big second floor, meeting area, but I don't know what it was.
I'll find it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, and then ultimately it'd be great if we can get a representative here to a meeting, so. Okay, cool. Let's see, review invasive removal stuff. I know Sean was working on that. Who else, is anyone else here who was working on that? Much at all? I mean, I think we're also kind of in the off season for that right now, so I don't know if that's.
Yeah, it's very much the off season. I mean, at our last meeting, we talked about, the next opportunity to go hit invasives along the rail trail would probably be in the April, early May timeframe. And that's pretty much where it sits. So a lot of what we talked about is, okay, given the volume of stuff that we can pull, how can we, most readily dispose of it?
Yeah.
And stuff. And I think we're working through that.
Okay. All right.
But it is the dormant time.
Yeah, okay, so we could probably talk about that in a future meeting, especially when it maybe gets closer to bittersweet time and all that stuff. Workshops in public education. So I know we had talked about, Jenny and I talked about that a little bit. I got as far as basically reaching out to the people at Bouquets in the Valley who were super enthusiastic, and actually ran to them the other night about it too, but that's basically as far as I got. I guess we were talking about maybe doing a seed starting workshop, right?
Yeah.
How late into the season can we do that?
I think anytime between now and February would be fine. Even pushing, I probably would have pushed it to March. We need about 40 days optimally below freezing.
Okay. All right.
So I think if we were able to move on it, it would be great to schedule it sometime in January or February.
Yeah. All right.
But
So
that doesn't feel out of the question.
maybe
So are these people that we should invite to our next meeting to? What their ideas are, as the, go further down the tracks than that?
well, I think with the timeline, I think what I would ask of the committee is just to kind of give us some leeway to just organize this, because it may happen before a meeting,
Sure.
depending what our next meeting is. And these are just hosts. They would just be opening the space. So I mean, I think
Where would you be planning to do that?
probably Bouquets of the Valley,
Oh.
which is, so that's the new flower shop
Right.
on Cottage Street.
Right.
So I think Jenny and I have been doing some email tag, and mostly more so Jenny tagging me and me being like, hey, I'm sorry. But But my goal is that we should try to like maybe try to like I'll be a little bit more proactive about trying to coordinate something with you. We can just try to nail something down. So it could happen before our next meeting. I would just email.
Yeah, and I was not trying to jam it into.
Oh yeah,
the meeting
yeah.
I'm, my idea is, I think it's great to do something during the winter for something like this.
Yeah.
And keep people engaged and focused, and so yes, I'm happy to help.
One thing
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
that pops to mind is when we were talking about in my energy meeting earlier is, public engagement and outreach is kind of the next phase of what we're trying to figure out how to capture and do a little more. But looking at glomming onto existing things like Winterfest is February 8th. So we're gonna reach out to them about if there's space for us to promote some energy stuff, maybe have some EVs and things like that. But having a space at Bouquets of the Valley, maybe you could get onto their agenda or promote it with them, or just do that day because there will be a preponderance of people around.
Do we want to try to somehow? Have a table at Winterfest, or like just information to have somewhere? I know it's not an agenda item, but I guess it kind
Yeah,
of.
well, this is what I was going to bring up anyway, just because we're going to talk about some conjoined efforts. And we're talking about, maybe trying to do like a table or some sort of, thing, whether it's here at 50 Payson in the parking lot or, somewhere, because there's going to be people on the pond as we do ice demonstrations,
Yes.
Right.
people jumping in the water, and there's chili cook-off. There's all sorts of stuff happening all over the place.
So, okay, so let's.
So we could do a table, and
Yeah.
again, maybe we could all, our groups could share a table or work with planning to get something out there or something like that.
Okay, may I put a pin in that for 1 second?
Sure.
So maybe we can see if we can organize the seed starting workshop sometime in January. And then what did you say Winterfest was then?
February 8th.
Correct.
The first Saturday.
So we can maybe just have I have a bunch of milkweed seeds and pollinator cards we can just give out, I guess. And maybe we have a mailing list sign up, right?
Yep.
Somewhere. So we can maybe try to organize, although if we organize the workshop in February and we advertise it at Winterfest.
Yeah, I'd probably do more, I guess, whether you want to use that as an advertising thing or try to do the actual workshop on that day or something like that. Post it if it's too many other competing interests or something like that.
Jenny, thoughts?
I think there's merits to both. I think it would be a good idea to have signups. It's not really set up as a walk-in activity. I think just because there's a certain amount of materials that we'd want to be able to plan for. So just the gears are turning there. If it could be kind of a drop-in activity, and maybe I'm not thinking outside the box enough, and that could be a fun opportunity. But yeah, I could see either scheduling it at the same day so that there's sort of a draw for people to be coming downtown in the first place. And then have it, is Winterfest 10 to 4 or something like that?
I don't know what the set times are. I was on their website earlier, but.
Yeah, because if the promotion for Winterfest, if we can get on the schedule, that might
that's
be.
what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Because if you get that on the schedule, I'd love to put that out there and then people can see that's one of the.
Yeah,
I've got it 11 to 5.
okay.
The one thing that I would bring up, and it's because I'm not a winter person, is if we schedule something outside, for early February, it's a real dice roll in terms of what we're going to do. So if we could somehow.
So the idea for the workshop with that would be inside in their space.
Right.
Yes.
And I would think that if we're going to be staffing a table and be fairly stationary, that could be pretty chill too. It would, I think, be advantageous if we could create an opportunity where people can duck out of the weather, and then we're bulletproof if Mother Nature decides to throw, wind and snow or worse at us.
Yeah, so why don't we try to do that? So have a table and see if we could do, because how long would that, an hour?
An hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we schedule it such that it's a little it's at a point in the day where we have enough time tabling to point people to it, but we also have prior signups as it.
And have some extras for
Yeah,
drop-ins.
yeah. Is that
I like that.
Okay.
idea.
Yeah.
all right?
Looking, there is like an artist, a craft and vendor show that they're doing as part of this, which is gonna be in Keystone Mill as well. It's in terms of like table, I don't know if you know how many people they get there in terms of like doing a tabling thing.
I see what you're saying.
Maybe we could get a table there where other people will be already and it's inside.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know how, how much leeway they've got for late additions to things that's already pretty well built out. But
Mhm. Mhm.
Excuse me. The only other thought I have, and this would be a question for the Bouquets of the Valley people, is if they're like planning to have that be a big stopping in day, and if having
Right.
the workshop there would be disruptive to their.
Mm. Well,
It's just an hour,
I'll
so I don't know.
just ask.
Absolutely, that's
Yeah.
a question for them.
And I haven't visited Bouquets of the Valley, but it could be that, they would welcome us there
Yeah,
as opposed to
Activation.
going over to Keystone.
right.
Somehow it seems to fit in my mind that if we could have an opportunity along Cottage Street closer to the pond, that would fit
Yes.
with
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
the focus of Winterfest.
Mhm.
Agreed.
yeah. All right, well then so let's shoot for that. I mean, I can, do you want me to I can just give you their contact information.
I also know though.
Oh, okay, yeah, if you wanna,
Like,
yeah,
stop.
yeah, if you want to stop by that, because I already asked and they're super excited about it, so if you wanna, yeah, I think that makes the most sense.
So,
Are we-
so will you stop in and then kind of let us know where you think the trail might lead?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think we need a formal motion for that, right? We just have
No,
consensus
no.
and,
Yep.
so I think that's the most optimal plan, if you all agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a community fire that goes on by the pond, like down there where people will congregate for ice harvesting and
Yeah.
whatever. So
Right.
could be like a warm up spot if we end up wanting to do a table, there,
Yeah.
50 pace and
Yep.
then we might be more likely to do that if we can be near like the EV chargers and have some electric vehicles around
Mhm.
and promote some of our other energy initiatives.
Mhm.
So
All right, yeah, that's perfect. I think that's kind of, yeah, that works out well. Okay, we'll plan on that if you wanna, we'll be in touch but
Yeah.
I basically, they're super enthusiastic about it. So, yeah,
Perfect.
okay.
yeah, and if it ends up working better to do it some other day, of course, like, it's just like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I'm assuming there's some contact point for Winterfest to get on.
Yeah,
the
I'm
schedule.
gonna be messaging them anyway,
Alright.
and stuff, so I will include,
Yeah.
I'll do double duty with that and just sort of see, do they have space? Can they accommodate? What are they open to? How much leeway do we have?
Yeah, and then just let us know. I'm happy
Yeah.
to like sit table and then go over to,
Right
you said,
on
what was the 8th you said?
February 8th.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Just put that by.
Am I allowed to say something or no? Because
Yeah, that's
Can I
fine.
just, I just
We're
wanted to tell
informal.
you, I have bags full of milkweed seeds. So I mean, like gallon sized bags that I'm happy to share, because I had a big harvest of the milkweed this year in our yard, so I'm happy to
Awesome.
contribute.
Yeah, I still have a ton of packets that I bought that I probably need to give to people soon. So we can do a combination of both.
Saying
Yeah,
if needed.
yeah,
I'm happy
definitely.
to-
Yeah, for sure. Awesome.
I put together like a very bare bones planning document for this event that's somewhere on our Google Drive. I mean, it's specifically in the like events and outreach part. And it was several weeks ago, so I'm no longer remembering if there were like active sort of questions about next steps, but I think one of them was definitely where would we be able to source seeds? And
I have at
That's
least
amazing.
1 gallon sized bag full of seeds, if not 2.
I have like 1,000, I have like 900 seed packets of milkweed seeds and then like a bunch of other packets of like native plant mix.
amazing.
So,
Great. I think we really need, I was planning to like with the outreach for this, let me start the sentence a different way. Among the ways that I was thinking about communicating about this event was be supplying some supplies on hand, just like things that they either have or that members are willing to use, like scissors, and asking people to bring the kinds of containers that they
Right.
need.
yeah,
And I think the only other material that was sort of a sourcing question mark was soil.
I can buy some potting soil
Yeah.
or contribute that. Basically, just, yeah, I think that's gonna be the best thing. We will
I
need to
don't think
let,
we would need a ton.
yeah,
That'd be great. And then,
Yeah.
everything else is like.
Yeah,
it's
because
a
the biggest
very
key is going to
low-
be containers. Like I haven't been thinking
Yeah.
far enough to save up milk jugs. So,
I was reading that you can also do heavy duty plastic, like Ziploc bags.
oh yeah, sure you
So that
can.
would be a really
Oh, I can just
easy way to do that.
then that can be a backup. We can just
Yeah.
I'm willing to donate basically soil and like you're talking about gallon size, I'm
Yeah.
assuming. All right, I'll do that.
That'd be amazing. And
Yeah.
I signed up to go to a seed sowing workshop earlier in January, so I will sort of go through this
Oh,
once as a
there you go.
participant and see what else is helpful. Yeah, I think it's a pretty low lift
All right,
as far as materials go.
is everyone okay with that plan? Okay,
Yes.
all right,
Mhm.
okay.
Okay.
Um,
And then if I have updates, am I like allowed?
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
Oh,
there
sure.
it is. Still getting a handle on the.
Sean? Hello?
Good evening, Sean.
Oh, there he is.
Hey,
Hello. Sorry, my camera is broke. So
it's okay. We were just talking about, what were we talking about? We were talking about, workshops and I think it looks like we're gonna try to coordinate at Winterfest to maybe do some tabling, but also have a seed sowing workshop that day.
that sounds awesome.
Cool.
So your question, you said if you want to communicate, what is it that you want to communicate?
Oh, yeah, you had a question.
Yeah, so as part of the sign up, I would want to communicate the usual place and time and also a short supply list of stuff to bring
Mhm.
if you have them available. And then we would have extras for people who don't have them. And that list would be if you have seeds, bring them. If you have clear plastic jugs or plastic bags or whatever you want to sew into, bring them. And like maybe a Sharpie. Like that's the level of organization. And I have a more articulated list of whatever those things might be on the document in the folder.
Okay.
But yeah, I would want to put together just like a little like event graphic or something like that to be able to put into our socials and the newsletter and share around. And we could even do some light flyering, like it depends how much outreach we want to get into here, but I think it would be just a concise little outreach graphic.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think
together.
I personally have no, like, I think whatever, if we're putting it together, then
Yeah.
whatever you want, unless no one else objects to just kind of being flexible with whatever Jenny wants to do.
No, I think that's great. Good.
I'd be happy to put some flyers up.
Thank you, Sean.
Any other workshop stuff at this time, or Sean, do you have any workshop or education items?
Nope, not right now.
And, oh, Jenny?
I did have another idea.
Okay.
I am wondering if it would be fun to schedule like a garden planning co-working space in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a very easy lift. It might be a better fit for a library space.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just like pull some books from the shelves, or I have a couple garden design books that I could bring in, and like not to have necessarily a lot of structured offerings, but just to be a space where you can come and bring your laptop or bring your graph paper and like maybe do some bouncing ideas off of each other and just have a dedicated space to do that with the ulterior motive of getting people in the room to connect and maybe use that as a little bit of a outreach and recruiting for involvement activity.
Like March or April, when it's just starting to get warm enough where you can start planting stuff and then go to the nurseries.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah, I want to, we can sketch that up together and then maybe kind of like,
Present.
yeah, I mean, I think it sounds pretty simple, but like, yeah, maybe just talk about that next meeting. I have to be transparent too, that I'm a little short on time tonight, so.
Yep.
Yeah, but that sounds great.
From the standpoint of the energy committee, I'll just mention a couple other things. We are also talking about maybe something smaller in April. I try to do something every other month in terms of public outreach. So again, to the extent that it makes sense to coordinate or do multiple things on the same day.
Yep.
And get people there, we could talk about that. So that, February, Winterfest, April, something, and then June is cultural chaos, where we do plan to have a bigger presence this year too. And if we can, and again, try to promote a bunch of different things that are going on. So those are like the three things that we've kind of identified. right now, and I said I was talking about it tonight so that we could join forces, wherever necessary.
I think that makes the most sense to capture the most people that way. So if EAC doesn't have a problem with us kind of piggybacking, and I mean, and obviously there's there are overlapping interests. So,
Right.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Cool. The newsletter. I think you had said something about that.
Yes, there is a draft of the newsletter again on our shared Google Drive. I can send out the path link to it, but hopefully it'll be relatively easy to find because I think it's in public outreach and then newsletters. Sean did a preliminary edit. There's a couple of things I want to update, and I wanted to wait to send it out until this meeting in case we had additional announcements to include. But it's pretty straightforward. I think it is a summary of our last invasive removal cleanup. I wanted to, in case we happen to land on a date for this or have more concrete outreach about upcoming events, and then just like a couple of like interesting news articles. That's about it. But I very much welcome other contributions, or if there's anything that other folks want to make sure that we send out. I don't have a target date in mind, but I'm off work next week, so that sounds more likely to be.
Yeah, I mean, if we solidify that seed sowing workshop, obviously.
Yeah, that would be really nice to be able to send that out.
Yep.
But yeah, would love any input that folks have the capacity to offer on that.
Will you send the pathway to the Google Drive again, please? Because that's the sort of thing which slips through my fingers.
Where do you want it, Hal? I can send it right now.
Just email to me would be great.
Okay. Yep, sure. We'll do.
Thank you.
Okay. There was a question about street trees, but I think that was that was like an LED item, correct? Okay, so I'll skip over that.
And the city does not have a person in the quote tree warden position.
Right.
I'm not sure if that's in the offing.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm guessing once the sustainability coordinator comes on, they're going to probably take on some of these. I mean, it won't be a tree warden, but I bet they would probably be involved in some of that conversation. Yes, Sean.
Have we heard anything about, I saw they posted the sustainability coordinator stuff. Do we know anything more? Do we have applicants in process or anything?
No, I don't know anything more than it was posted in November. And then you mentioning to me that one gentleman who was interested in applying.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I know so far.
Okay. Do we know who we would ask about that?
I could
ask Emily Russo's the HR.
Yeah,
coordinator, probably the right person.
Yeah, I could email her.
Okay, yeah, I'd be happy to if you don't get around to it either way.
Either one. Do you want? I mean, what would you like? What do you want to do, Sean? I'm happy. I could just fire one up. I could just send an email tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. We do have a new planner.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Hear that,
We're meeting with.
Yes.
Have they started?
Yes.
Yeah.
She has.
Yeah.
She introduced herself at our conservation commission meeting on Monday.
Easthampton resident too, from what I understand.
That's my
Oh,
understanding,
cool.
and she was previously a planner with West Springfield.
Springfield, yeah.
Right. What's her name?
Allison.
Allison, yeah. Yep, Allison Noel. Yeah, I'm meeting with her in a couple weeks. So, yeah. Okay. So I have not gone back to look at the climate action plan in a while, so I still need the whole pulling out priorities. I mean, I think so. I mean, something I would say too is I think that part of the reason for our inception, and I think part of our core scope or duties is some of the stuff around the Bee City stuff. So I also want to try to make sure that we're really focusing on that. And I think as we focus on that too, we may be able to check off some of the things on the climate action plan anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So I think really taking a deeper focus on the Bee City items as it will have a dual role. And so just to read this off again, we've already done one of these to establish the committee There's the creating and enhancing pollinator habitat on public and private land by increasing the abundance of native plants and providing nest sites. So I know there's been a lot of talk about trying to like identify a site, like with coordination with the city to make into like a model pollinator garden.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I'm meeting with the new planner in a couple weeks, and I think that's something I'd want to bring up. I'd want to bring up to her. So I'm happy to basically do that because I think we have to do that and then also figure out like, you know, hire a consultant to do that sort of thing costs money, whereas like we could figure out through the guidance of this committee, like how to maybe get some plants, which the city might be able to help us with. And then do like a community planting event. So that would be my preference. I mean, obviously we could go big and like really try to like do this on like a larger scale. I think that might be more difficult. Yes.
And,
Oh,
sorry.
Take it away.
Okay,
yes. Al.
and I spent some time today sort of looking for the climate action plan, but what I discovered more was the pollinator plan that the Conway School
Yes.
had developed. And that's got, you know, some concrete recommendations for community gardens, including locations.
So non-concrete, actually green spaces.
Yes.
Sorry.
What he said.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think there's been a lot that's been done there.
Mhm.
And I think it's really a question of, if we want, you know, as you said, you know, can we get some plants and, you know, use some resources for soil and I think permission to do some spade work on somebody's lawn.
Mhm.
So I think that would be important, but I think a lot of that has been, you know, the path has been clarified for us.
So, should we kind of reinvigorate that for the next meeting? And so want to dive into that pollinator action plan and maybe talk about either like come forward with A, kind of an idea or plan and B, some sites, that we could, you know, ask the city to, you know, give permission to use as
Yeah.
kind of one of these
Mhm.
model garden type of things, right? And
And I think the pollinator action plan is a great jumping off for that.
Agreed.
wants to do that. Do you want to do that?
Sure.
Okay.
I also put together that PowerPoint at the very beginning of the life of this committee, and I
Yeah,
think we're
yeah.
gonna like revisit that section if
Yeah.
that would be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it went into a decent amount of detail on just recapitulating the process to identify, because I went through a pretty robust community process to
They
identify
did, yeah. Mhm.
potential sites.
There's the integrated pest management plan. I think, Hal, were you looking into that at one point or am I imagining that?
If I was, I have completely over.
Okay, I don't remember if I did. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
put them together just for the invasive removal meetups.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's what you're looking at, but that's what DPW wanted to see to kind of sign off on our.
Okay, so
carte
that's,
blanche.
yeah, okay.
So there should be a PDF on there somewhere.
Okay, so we've done some work on that.
Yeah. Is that one
Um,
of the requirements for the?
yeah, yeah. Incorporate pollinator conscious practices in the city policies and plans, establish a policy in the city comprehensive plan to acknowledge and commit to the BCD site designation, review the plan and other relevant documents to consider improvements to pest management policies and practices as they relate to pollinator conservation, identify appropriate locations for pollinator friendly plantings, which kind of, some of this is we've talked about before. And there's the whole conversation about kind of the ordinance and plant list. So Jenny and I have made a commitment to try to get together and nailing that down. So I think that's something I would commit to over the next quarter is to really try to develop some sort of legislation or document that could either range from like, here's the plant list the city needs to use to a more fleshed out ordinance around, you know, around native plantings. So, and it could be something as simple as the city shall, you know, in all landscaping utilize 100% native plants or 80% native plants from this list type of thing. So, so we'll work on that. Sean, yes.
Yeah, we could do like even something a little bit more, relaxed, like, 60% plants from this list and 0 plants from this, prohibited list.
Yeah.
I don't even mind non-natives in some cases, as long as they're not like actively planting invasives. Like I actually saw
Right.
recently, we left some Bradford pears up, and I'm like, why?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we'll start working on that. And yeah, I agree. A lot of the ordinances I've seen like acknowledge that there's kind of a sweet spot. And I could do some research about that again in terms of like percentage wise, as like places love to use like ornamental daylilies, and hosta. So we could talk about that, and we'll plan to bring that back maybe for the next meeting.
Sure. So what should I write down as being the next steps on this one? Just
Continue to discuss an implementation of a native plant ordinance and plant list for the city.
Okay.
And then the other thing is host pollinator awareness events, which we're doing. I thought I have to follow up. So there's a sign, or I had requested a sign for the Bee City, and it was supposed to be made, and then there was supposed to be some sort of dedication ceremony in the fall, which didn't happen. And I'm not sure what happened with the sign either, but at this point, I think what I would push the mayor, and I can talk to the planner about this too, is probably in the spring, we should talk about some sort of, and maybe April, we could talk about some sort of dedication ceremony for the sign that acknowledges that we're a Bee City, and also do like a seed giveaway there also. So I can get in touch with the mayor about that, because she and I had spoken about that, and I think fall kind of crept up on us, and then it didn't happen. So, and also at that point, Cassie had left, and we didn't have a planner. So, so I can do that too. Yeah, and then that's actually we actually are kind of farther along with some of the Bee City stuff than I thought. So, and
What is our, do we have like a 1 year mark cut off or something like that?
just like a report, like basically like here's what we've done so far. Yeah, I think it's basically just like to tell them like what's been going on and what, which, so.
and that would go to Xerxes?
Yes, yeah.
And they would need to get that when? I forget when we got the designation in the first place.
May, maybe?
Okay.
I could look. It's probably May, I think. I'll look.
Because we wanna.
That's pretty much it. If anyone has anything to add, or so I mean, we're gonna talk about the main action items are talking about Winterfest, both in terms of a table and organizing the seed planting workshop. We'll dive into some of the pollinator action plan stuff as it pertains to some of the models that they created for established pollinator or native plant habitat in the city, and some ideas behind maybe an initial one. I mean, those are newsletter asking about the sustainability coordinator, and kind of working on some of the language for the ordinance or whatever you want to call it. Those are the big ones, right?
Yeah, I think those are the main ones.
Okay.
One other minor thing I'll bring up, just a few weeks back, like somebody had posted on Facebook, and I think I brought that to our group and like for the screenshot. And Sean had responded, and also had his mom put a ton of information. It's about like leaf litter and like how to deal with like I want to in the fall I want to start prepping my
Oh yes,
for like
yes.
native plantings, and like what do I do? And Sean and his mom put together a bunch of information. I sat down at one point to try to synthesize it into something that made sense, and I just never quite got there. But from a newsletter standpoint, like something like that we now have, and Sean, I don't mean not to put this on you, but like you might be a better person to try to put that into something actionable or something that could be like a reference point
Yeah,
for people, because there's
Yeah.
gonna be those types of questions that people have, like,
Yeah.
what do I do in the fall when we do a seed planting workshop? Like, okay, so now from here, you're gonna do X, Y, Z, or like in the, in the spring, like when you're going to do this stuff, what's your starting point, or what's your best course of action?
Mhm. We should probably have like an FAQ. Like,
Yeah, something like that. And I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of resources out there, as well as the, formidable internal knowledge that people bring to this in the committee.
Mhm, mhm.
So anyway, so that could be like a good piece for a newsletter too, is to,
Yep.
have
Well,
something.
I sent around this morning some ideas.
I'm gonna look at those,
For that.
yeah, because I have
And,
that.
I'm not so sure, I'm not sure if it fits in with a newsletter or more with a
Social
Facebook
media, yeah.
page. But, again, a, so- something of a resource library,
Right.
Mhm.
for people with questions and interests, and where can I turn to do this?
Mhm.
And, obviously, it would be a work in progress and should be available for addition, as much as people have things to add.
Right.
But I think that could be helpful.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I saw that you sent that out. We'll look
Right.
at it.
Okay.
Potentially will bring me through for a few weeks, hopefully with some content for the Facebook page, which I haven't posted anything recently. I mean, usually I just kind of stuff pops up on my feed. I'm like, oh, I'll share this to the page. Like I haven't organically, as it were, like,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah, there's value in those resources, as well as things like demonstration projects and like, case studies or individual people, in town. And we've talked a little bit about this, but like, somebody like yourself who's taking all these steps to like improve their yard, and like, where did it start? Like, what did they
Yeah.
do? And just saying, those are just kind of interesting things to highlight
Right.
in
Mhm.
general,
Mhm.
whether in a newsletter or a post or,
yeah,
you know,
or both.
some sort of feature of some sort. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Video feature.
Yes.
Get really crazy.
Oh,
Yeah. But that also gives me an idea. After we do the seed sowing workshop, I think what I'll do is look for a good YouTube video, post that on the Facebook page.
Mhm.
It's a really good idea.
Anything else?
So,
When we're gonna meet next?
yeah, we've just been talking about diversity, upstate, and Peace City action. I think it would be good if we could get an idea of when we want to have the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, Sean.
Technically, I did send a
Oh, yeah,
thing
you
to the
did.
city commission where it was, or the city clerk, where I was like, I just reserved like 3 Tuesdays in a row or something. So we are, I'd have to go look
Yes.
at that email, but we are technically on the board for future things, just because folks were
Yes.
worried about like the scheduling being inconsistent and stuff. So I was trying to just like make it more consistent,
Yeah.
and apparently failing.
Where is, no, I appreciate that. I forgot about that. Where is that? I know let's see.
Give me.
Why do I have it? I remember
It's
this
not on the
now.
city website yet.
Our 2025 meeting calendar request, but I feel like I know that you sent the dates.
I've got something on my calendar for January 6th, which seems awful soon, given that this is the 19th. But I don't have any other dates.
It could be. Where's that? I remember you sending this too now. Actual meeting? No, that can't be it. That is like far back. I remember you sending this and I didn't.
I do not have this.
We might have to start from square one of this.
No, but I remember how you say I remember you doing that, Sean, and I don't, huh. Yeah, I mean, well,
Not seeing it in my sent items on mine. Maybe I sent it from the B's email. Let me.
yeah, I'm wondering about that too, because I can't see it.
Get on the.
Yeah, because I remember you sending a list and because
I can't. I can't even log into the Bees email anymore because they went ahead and enforced the 2-factor, which means it's useless as a shared email account. So
Oh, okay, so, cause I haven't, so should I just go down to, IT and get the login from them for that? Cause I haven't done that yet, obviously.
I mean, I sent you the login info, but basically we have to set up 2-factor authentication, which means only one person is going to be able to log into it. So,
Oh.
which means we might as well not use it, to be honest.
Well, yeah, but isn't that a contact point for the committee from the public?
Yeah, it probably is.
I'll get the login and we'll figure that out.
They also don't let you forward from it to other email addresses, which was the other thing I was going to do to be able to monitor it, was just forward from that to my own account. But
Right.
they did that as well.
Yeah. I'll just make sure at least I get. I'll look into that. But we don't have those dates, huh? Why don't I just?
I could swear I know I sent that. You remember me sending it, and
I remember it was a list. It was a list of dates. You're like, here's our list of dates. And do you want me to just reach out to? Do you want me to reach out to the clerk?
Or we could just pick new dates. Like, I can look at the calendar right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, probably. I mean, it's already December. I forget. Do Thursdays work for people?
For the most part, yes.
Okay. I mean, I'm just looking like. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
We are okay. It is on the calendar. We are currently scheduled for 6 January.
Oh, well, that's both ominous and very soon.
Yeah, probably too early given how late we did this one because we were originally scheduled earlier.
But what about, so, I mean, we could either look at another Monday, or there's also, like, I was gonna say either the 16th or 23rd of January.
On the 23rd.
The 16th, I will be out of town on a business trip.
Oh.
I'm going on the
But
23rd.
I can always call in.
And who's gone the 23rd?
I'm going.
You're going the 23rd, and you could call in on the 16th though, Sean?
I mean, hypothetically.
Yeah.
I don't entirely know what's going to be. It's after hours, so I should be available. But like with this new job, just like
Yeah.
Sure.
How's the 16th for other people?
16th is fine, and the 30th is also good for me too.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, how's the 30th for people?
I have no life.
30th would be fine.
Oh, I can't. I haven't going to see Kathy Griffin that night. So I can't. But the 16th?
Yep.
Sean, we'll do that.
Yep.
I'll check with the clerk too.
Right.
As
Hold on. Let me see if there's anything else on the 16th.
This time.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
The only thing is, we that's what we just moved to our energy committee meetings to the third Thursday first, but we meet at 3. So
Okay.
Yeah, community preservation is that night at 6:30. But other than that,
Yeah, but they get the big room. Yeah. All right, I'll send Barbara an email tomorrow then, and that's like basically 4 weeks. So
Yep. Okay.
All right, so let me just I'll write myself a note.
That feels like good timing if we have an event on February 8th to have a little bit of run up if there's any further planning to be done.
Okay. All right, good.
Great.
Anything else?
Not for me. Yeah, I think we're complete on the agenda that I've been checking off.
Sean, anything?
nope.
Okay. Oh, Sean, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself? We have Renee here, who's a potentially interested committee member.
Neat. Yeah. Hi, I'm Sean. I was the chair for a while. I got a little bit too busy and had to step back for a little bit because I got a new job, which is busier than I have previously been. I don't have any direct experience with any of this stuff, but I come by it sort of family. My mother's a master gardener in 3 different states and a ecologist and a number of other things. And so I kind of got raised on this stuff. And you know, I do strongly believe that, you know, all of these things and taking action on all of these things helps us with dealing with, you know, climate grief and stuff. So that's why I'm here. And yeah.
That's amazing. Nice to somewhat meet you.
Sorry for not having my face. Sorry for just the disembodied voice.
Cool. Thanks, John.
Welcome and thank you for coming. I hope you decide to join us.
I'm really excited.
Yay. All right. So any other last statements, declarations?
I
No,
think,
okay,
I think we were productive this evening.
I agree. I'll take a motion to adjourn then.
I move that we adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
And a second from Jamie. All in favor? Aye. John, are you in favor? Great. Well, it was a pleasure. And go forth and be fruitful and happy holidays.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.